Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Beyond Belief. I'm so glad you're here today. Whether you're in your car or on your lunch break or relaxing at home, I'm excited for what we are going to explore together. Today, we're diving into one of the most profound yet humorous stories in the Gospels, John 9. It's the story of a man born blind who is healed by Jesus in a way that's, well, let's just say, unexpected. We're going to unpack not only the miracle, but the moments of humor, the missed opportunities, and the profound lessons about faith, obedience, and the unexpected ways God works in our lives. So, grab your Bible or just settle in and get comfortable as we take a journey through a story that's more relevant than ever. Let's dive in. Let's set the scene. Jesus and his disciples are walking through a town, and they come across a man who was born blind. The disciples, as curious as always, immediately ask, "Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" Now, I'm sure you've heard the story, but let's pause for a second. Could you imagine being this guy? Just minding your own business, and suddenly you hear these men discussing your entire life, like you're not even there. And they start debating, who sinned? Was it him or his parents? Imagine how awkward that would be. Wait, what did I do to deserve this? Was it me or was it my parents? Talk about awkward. Yet, Jesus doesn't entertain their debate. Instead, he says, "Neither this man nor his parents sinned. This happened so that the work of God might be displayed in his life." Jesus makes it clear. This man's condition wasn't about blame. It wasn't about fault. It was about purpose. Here's a powerful thought for us today. We often look at our struggles, our pain, our difficulties, and we immediately think, what did I do wrong? Why is this happening to me? But Jesus flips that mindset. It's not about blame. It's about God's purpose. What if your struggles aren't the result of something wrong, but the setup for something beautiful? What if what's happening right now is the very thing that will display God's work in your life? Now let's talk about the actual miracle. Jesus doesn't simply heal the blind man by saying, "Be healed." Instead, he spits on the ground, makes mud with his salvia, and rubs it on the man's eyes. Now, if you're the blind man in this situation, how would you react? I don't know about you, but I'd be like, wait, what just happened? Spitting in the dirt, making mud, and putting it on my eyes? Honestly, if this were me, I'd probably be thinking, is this some kind of ancient mud spa treatment, or am I in trouble here? I mean, imagine the questions that must have gone through his mind. Wait, what are you doing here? And am I about to get my vision back from a dirt mask? But here's the point. Sometimes God's miracles don't come in the neat, clean packages we expect. They don't always come with all the answers. Sometimes God's miracles come in the form of mud in our face. And the question is, will we trust him anyway? The blind man didn't hesitate. He didn't question it. He obeyed. He trusted Jesus, even when it didn't make sense. Think about your own life for a moment. How often do we resist God's work when it doesn't fit into our expectations? Maybe the miracle he's working in your life right now feels messy. Maybe it doesn't look like what you thought it would. But if you trust and obey, even in the mess, you might just find that God is doing something beautiful. Now here's where the story takes a funny turn. The man is healed and comes back seeing. His neighbors are in shock. They're like, wait, is this the same guy who used to sit and beg? He can see now? There's some confusion, and honestly, I get it. This is a big deal. But when the Pharisees catch wind of this, things get, well, interesting. They start interrogating the man. Who healed you? What happened? This man can't be from God. It's the Sabbath. The man's healed. He's seeing for the first time. And the Pharisees' biggest issue? That it happened on the Sabbath. The rules were more important than the miracle in their eyes. Now let's think about this for a second. The Pharisees were so consumed with their rules and their theology that they missed the actual miracle. They were too busy trying to label everything instead of celebrating what just happened. Isn't that just like us sometimes? We get so focused on how things are supposed to be that we miss what God is doing right in front of us. Do you ever catch yourself more focused on the rules or your own expectations than God's presence? How often do we miss what God is doing because we're so focused on how we think it should look or happen? Sometimes the miracle is right in front of us, but we miss it because it doesn't fit into our neat little boxes. Now here's the best part. The Pharisees ask the man, who healed you? What happened? And the blind man, with all the wisdom of somebody who's just been touched by God, responds, I don't know who he is, but all I know is I was blind and now I see. I love that response. It's like he's saying, you can argue all you want, but I've experienced a miracle. I don't have all the theological answers, but I've got a story to tell. And sometimes that's enough. You don't have to have everything figured out to share what God has done in your life. We get caught up in wanting to know it all, wanting to have all the answers before we speak up. But the truth is, your testimony is powerful. You don't have to explain everything. Just share what you've experienced. Share how God has worked in your life. That's what people need to hear. Now, let's take a moment to reflect on the deeper message of this passage. Jesus says in John 9, verse 39, For judgment I have come into this world, so that the blind will see and those who see will become blind. There's a profound irony here. The man was physically blind, but the Pharisees, though they had eyes, were spiritually blind. They thought they had it all figured out, but in reality, they were the ones who couldn't see. And I wonder how many times we are like the Pharisees, blind to what God is doing in our lives. We think we know what's best, but sometimes it's our own spiritual blindness that keeps us from seeing the miracles in front of us. Take a moment. Are there areas in your life where you're spiritually blind? Are there things God is trying to show you, but you're so focused on your own way of doing things? Jesus came to open our eyes, but we have to be willing to see. So what's the takeaway for today? It's simple. Don't miss the miracle because it doesn't come in ways you expected. Don't get so caught up in your own understanding that you miss God's work right in front of you. And most importantly, remember, your testimony is enough. You don't need to have all the answers to share the story of what God has done in your life. And now, may you walk in the light, even when the path ahead seems unclear. May you trust God's process, even when it feels uncomfortable, even when the answers aren't immediate. And may you open your eyes to the miracles happening all around you, even in the mess. You may not see the full picture yet, but trust that God is at work in ways both big and small. Your story is unfolding, and with each step of faith, you are moving closer to the breakthrough God has for you. Remember, God's timing isn't our timing, and His methods aren't always what we expect. But if we trust Him, even in the mud, we'll experience the transformation we're waiting for. Your miracle might be just a step of obedience away. Thank you for tuning in today to Beyond Belief. I hope that as we unpack the story of the blind man, you were encouraged to trust God in the midst of your own struggles and blind spots. Whether you're in a season of waiting, of confusion, or of unknowns, I hope you're reminded that God is still working on your behalf, even if it doesn't look like it. And sometimes He's doing His best work in the mud. If today's episode spoke to you or made you reflect on how you can trust God more deeply, I'd love for you to share it with a friend who might need to hear this too. And if you have a story or testimony of God's miraculous work in your life, I'd love to hear it. You can always reach out to me through the podcast or social media. Let's continue to encourage each other with the amazing ways God shows up in our lives. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to Beyond Belief for more episodes and leave a review. If this episode resonated with you, I truly appreciate your support. It helps spread these messages to more people who may need a little encouragement on their journey. As we wrap up today's episode, let me leave you with this. Don't be afraid of the mud in your life, the mess, the discomfort, the confusion. It may just be the place where God is working His greatest miracle. Trust Him, even when it doesn't make sense, and know that in His time, you will see clearly. Until next time, stay encouraged, keep your eyes open, and remember, God is always working behind the scenes, even when you can't see it. You're never alone, and your breakthrough is coming. Until next time, God bless.